Hi everyone and welcome to this video. My name's Phil and I'm a senior lecturer in astrophysics at the University of Lincoln, and I've done quite a few videos on galaxies, how to measure distance to them in a variety of different ways. But with this particular video I want to have a look at the angular diameter distance, and it relates to kind of like the angular size on the sky. We can then calculate things like its actual physical size. There's a few weird things going off as well when we look at the actual universe and the expansion. It's not quite so straightforward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to recap galaxies in case you're not familiar with them or you just forgot what galaxies are, because with galaxies, they're large objects and we can see them very far in the past or a long way off. We're talking billions of light years away. So things behave a little bit different when you start to look at those sorts of distances. So just to recap then, galaxies are these massive systems of stars, gas, dust, dark matter. They're held together by gravity. This one here is kind of like a disk-like spiral galaxy, but we have lots of different sorts, and they'll all have different ratios of the stars, the gas, dust, and all that sort of thing, depending on the type of galaxy it is. For example, elliptical galaxies, which are more spherical, have a lot less gas, if no gas at all, basically. They have little star formation, they're typically bigger. Disk-like galaxies are rotating like a disk, have more gas, recent star formation, but that's a topic for separate videos, which I've kind of done anyway. So a variety of different shapes and sizes, but the main point is these are big objects, and because they're big, they're made up of stars, we can generally see them at quite large distances. So because of that, we can kind of zoom out and look at the universe more as a whole. But our nearest large galaxy is the Andromeda Galaxy, which is actually coming kind of towards us. It's one of the only galaxies really that's kind of blue shifted as opposed to red shifted, so it means it's moving towards us. And that's obviously on the order of millions of light years. But then if you go out a little bit further than that, we've got kind of like local clusters, we've got superclusters, and then we've got this cosmic web. So the galaxies are not evenly distributed. They would create this web at the very large scale, but then they cluster into these big clusters, then smaller clusters and smaller groups, like a local group that we're in. But we kind of know these distances, and there's a variety of different ways in which we can calculate those distances, find the distances to them, and also measure the sizes of these galaxies. So we know that maybe spiral galaxies are going to be smaller than, your massive ellipticals, for example. So how do we actually know that? So we're here on Earth and we're looking at a galaxy. How do we actually kind of determine the distance to that? Again, I've got some different videos that discuss ways you can do that, like the luminosity distance. We can use supernovas, things like that. But the key thing really is this is true for any object really that's emitting light. You take a candle, a light, a planet, a star. The further away that it is, it will be fainter, because the light, the photons that are being emitted from it are spreading out over a larger area, so we actually detect less of them. So the object gets fainter. But the key thing really is that they appear smaller. So the further away they appear smaller. So they have a smaller angular size on the sky when we actually look at them. So they get smaller and fainter. Now I'll probably do a separate video that covers like your angular sizes, because we use angular sizes in astronomy quite a lot, because a lot of the time we're not actually measuring its physical size, its diameter. We're measuring the angle subtended kind of on the sky, really, how big it appears to us. So we measure the angular size, and that is typically going to be in degrees, arc minutes, arc seconds. And to be honest, with a galaxy, a long way, astronomical objects, they're not really going to be in degrees, because if they were, they'd be quite close. So they're typically most likely going to be in arc minutes, arc seconds. So if we've got two galaxies in the sky that we're kind of looking at, and they're at different distances, but they actually have the same size, then the one that's actually further away is actually going to be the bigger physically. Because if it's going to have the same angular size, so here we should have this, hopefully the same angular size of both these galaxies. Probably not a great representation, but the one that's further away at the top has to be bigger to get the same angular size. So two galaxies are going to look the same size, different distances. The one furthest away is going to be the physically bigger galaxy. So now we kind of come to this angular diameter distance. And this is basically, yeah, it relates to the angular diameter of the galaxy, but it also relates to a distance to it as well. And they've got a kind of fairly simple, straightforward equation at the bottom. We're also assuming that these are very small angles as well, so we kind of approximate this here really. So the angular diameter distance, the dA, is equal to the linear or the physical size of the galaxy, so the actual size of the galaxy, divided by the angular size. And if you want to work this out yourself, then the angular size will be in radians. And as long as you use, well, whatever distance you're using size wise, units for that, you'll get it in the other one. So if you're using light years for your angular diameter distance, then your linear size will be in light years as well. So we don't know the physical size. That's kind of what we want to know about the galaxy. We measure the angular size, but the angular diameter distance on the left hand side there, we have to kind of calculate that, knowing some things about the universe really. So we'll take the redshift of the galaxy. So redshift, because the universe is expanding, galaxies further away are moving away from us faster. So we get a redshift in the light. Basically the wavelength of light gets stretched, it gets redder, we get a redshift from it. So a higher redshift means it's further away. So we take into consideration the redshift of the galaxy. We also need to take into consideration like the model of our universe, which has a lot of parameters in there. And if we kind of take all that into consideration, we can typically get this angular diameter distance, essentially. But we do need to consider the universe's expansion. So the typical model that we use at the moment, or the most common one, there's quite a few actually, is the lambda cold dark matter model. So again, we're going to combine the redshift with that model of the universe, and some of the parameters within that model that we would likely need to get this angular diameter distance is going to be like the Hubble constant, so how fast is the universe expanding, the density of normal matter, the dark energy density, spatial curvature, that sort of thing, basically, because all of that is going to help us with, the expansion of the universe as we look further away. Basically, we need this. It's not quite as straightforward as just, looking at the angular size, looking at the distance to it, and getting its actual physical size, which we could kind of do for more local objects, but these objects much further away, the expansion of the universe is quite important. So recapping again, probably fairly obvious really, galaxies that are further away are going to appear smaller, usually. So further away they are, smaller they get. However, with galaxies, it's a little bit weird. So beyond a certain distance, once they get so far away, they start getting bigger again. That's really kind of counterintuitive. Or at least it might come across as that. Maybe you haven't come across this before, maybe you have. But the key thing here is that the universe was much smaller. We're assuming the universe is expanding. So if we're looking at very, very distant galaxies, when the light was emitted from that galaxy, the universe was considerably smaller. And what that manifests itself as is actually making the galaxy appear bigger. So once we go beyond that distance, galaxies start to get bigger again. Again, it sounds a little bit bizarre, but it's because the universe was so much smaller at that point and it behaves slightly different. So that's just like a model of the universe from the Big Bang to current day. And our universe has expanded, but it hasn't expanded at a constant rate. You've had periods kind of where it's accelerated more, slowed down, maybe paused, and carried on accelerating in its expansion. So depending on where our galaxy is, how far away it is, it's going to have a different size than if the universe wasn't expanding, which is important. So this here is redshift on the x-axis, and then your angular diameter distance on the y-axis. And you can see there's kind of two models here with different densities here in the cold dark, the lambda cold dark matter model of the universe. So same sort of curve, but the main point really is there's a turnover point. So galaxies get smaller and smaller, but once they get to a certain redshift or a certain distance from us, it's about approximately 1.6, 1.5 redshift, then the galaxies start to get larger again. And that's because you've gone over that kind of like that critical turning point where the universe was considerably smaller, that far away. So it makes the galaxies, appear bigger, and that turning point is about 1.6-ish on the redshift. So what we could do now, let's say we've managed to calculate the angular diameter distance. We've measured our angular size. We've got the dA. We can now determine the linear or the physical size of that particular galaxy because we can rearrange for L. We've got the right-hand side of the equation, got those values there. We can now determine the actual physical size of that galaxy. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the videos or find them useful, then consider becoming a member of the channel. There's extra videos in the member section, but it also helps support the channel. So thank you for watching.